Hey, welcome back. In this video, I'm just going to be changing the front differential fluid in my 2012 Ford Raptor. Now, this is the second time I've replaced this. I did it the first time at around 100,000 miles. But I was doing other maintenance, and I figure I might as well do this while I'm in there. And after I get this one finished up, I'll post another video of doing the rear diff, because it's getting close as well. Now, the rear's pretty simple. The front's not so much. It takes a little bit of finagling. First thing you have to do is remove this metal skid plate that's on the truck. Just 4 15mm bolts. And it's always nice to have a little help when you're working on the car. I can't wait till my grandson's old enough to help for real, but right now he's a lot of fun and he really loves helping dude out. Now, I had just finished replacing the belt on this, so I had the front skid plate off, and the difference between these two skid plates are this one's made out of steel and it's very heavy. The front one's twice the size. It's made out of aluminum and it's really light, so be careful taking this one down. And now you can see kind of everything you need to see. There's the differential, there's the fill plug, and the front cover. And this is where it gets weird doing this front diff. There's not enough distance between the front cover and the steering rack to actually pull the cover like you would do normally for the fluid to drain. What you have is about 3/4 of an inch clearance, and it's just not enough. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there's 187,000 miles on this truck, and of that, only probably 4,000 miles is with the four-wheel drive engaged. But both times I have changed this oil. It comes out just like this, looking at milky green oil. I swear there's water in the oil every time. And what's draining out right now is just gravity overflow coming out of that hole. But to really get this right, you have to use a vacuum pump, and you have to get this small plastic tube down inside that differential down to the bottom, and then physically suck the oil out, which is always kind of hard to do. What you're seeing here is pretty cool, but it was not intentional. But you can see that oil being sucked through that plastic tube over into this bottle. That's a pretty cool visual. The reason I'm going with this bottle is I wanted to measure how much fluid I actually got out, because I didn't do this last time and I just want to know. Okay, well, that was enough of that, but now you understand why I do the voiceover after the fact. It's noisy in the garage when you're doing this, and that vacuum pump is really, really annoying. What I'm doing here is just trying to work that tube, keep it working deeper and deeper into that differential, and it's not easy because it's pretty tight fit, and you just have to slide it down between the gears and the housing and get it to the bottom. Now, doing all this took me a good 15-20 minutes to pump that oil out. It's not a simple task. It's not an easy task. And I don't think we get all the oil out. I ended up measuring about 1.5 quarts to come out of that differential, and I know it's supposed to hold 2 quarts going back in. So there's 1/4 quart still in there somewhere. I did spill some here and there, so I may be a little off. But anyway, I'm not real sure that you get everything out with this way of doing it. Well, as you can see here, I've jacked the driver's side of the truck up for 3 reasons, really. Just give me a little more room working in there. I needed to rotate the wheel and therefore rotate the ring and pinion inside here to give me a little more clearance to be able to push this plastic hose down in there. And then I wanted to also push the fluid to the passenger side where I could actually maybe suck out a little more. This is not really a hard job to do. You just have to have a little bit of patience and just continue to work this to get as much fluid out as you can. Now, in the future, I may try to figure out a way to pull this front diff cover and just see what it looks like inside this hub, this differential, just out of pure curiosity. And I want to drain out all the fluid and test and see how much it really holds, because I think it's supposed to hold 2 quarts. And after you've got all the fluid out, it's just a matter of putting your fluid back in it. So here's just refilling the pumpkin, the differential, with the proper fluid. I tried to use a little plastic hose. That didn't work. I ended up having to, there's just not enough room to get the bottle up in there. So I had to come up with this hand pump that I had for doing the rear differential. I just adapted it to use to be able to pump the fluid into the front one. Sometimes it takes a little trial and error, and you just do what you got to do. I got it working. Once you figure out how to fill up your truck, it's just a matter of pumping and pumping. So you just keep pumping the first quart and the second quart, and eventually you get to where the fluid runs out the side of the pumpkin, the differential, just like that. Once the oil is flowing out of the fill hole, it's full. So you just put your plug back in there and tighten it up. Now you can use whatever kind of Loctite or device you want to lock this in place, but I've found that they're pipe threads and they lock down pretty good with the factory Loctite that's still on that nut. And now all that's left is to take it for a test drive before I put the skid plates back under it. Look, make sure it's not leaking. Make sure it switches in and out of four-wheel drive and locks up. Everything sounds good and it's good to go. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps you out when you're changing your own oil.